change is so easy. Okay, before you kill me, just hear me out. It literally is changing the way we think about things and our brain if we want to change something. And the reason that we can't change something and the reason we get stuck is because we're not consciously aware of what our brain is doing and saying, and it's running on autopilot and getting us the results that we don't want. That's why I say change is easy. But at the same time, to understand that, okay, that's easy. But to actually do it, it's really, really hard. Am I right? Because this is what I do for my career is I help people make changes. When I get on a call with them, I'll say, what do you want to change today? And sometimes it takes a while to make those changes because we're fighting for that version of ourselves only because it is like easy. It's familiar. And remember, our brain goes to what's familiar. Our brain is trying to keep us alive. That's its job, is to keep us alive. And so how it does that is it avoids pain and it seeks pleasure and it tries to conserve energy. And if we've never done something before, our brain kicks in to say, hey, you could die. So if we're trying to learn something new or do something new, our brain in the background is running, going, girl, don't do that. This is really super scary and bad things are going to happen. But we're just not aware that that is what our brain is doing. And when you can have somebody outside of yourself look at what your brain is doing and then feed it back to you, you can be like, damn, I had no idea that that's what was going on. And that's why I say change is easy, because we don't need all of these external things to change in order for our life to change. It's an inside job. Everything happens inside of us and we're in control of that. But it takes a lot of effort. It's like when you go to the gym, you can't just lift a weight once and expect to get buff and get ripped. You got to consistently go there. And so the key to anything is consistency, no matter what you're trying to do. And if you're trying to change something in your life or everything in your life, you want to be consistent. And in order to do that, you have to be aware of what you're changing, make the smallest little change, just a small little change, and then do it consistently over time. And that way you're rewiring your brain to be familiar with this. And once your brain is familiar with it, then it won't fight it. Then it won't sneakily in the background sabotage you and be like, you're gonna die. This is horrible. No, then it gets on board with it. So for the first little while, it can be like pushing a rock up a hill or running in the ocean. It can be hard and arduous and it can feel like it's never going to happen. But if you're consistent with it, because you're literally rewiring the neural pathway, you're creating a new neural pathway in your brain. And then think about think about this. You have a sidewalk. It's so easy to walk down that sidewalk. There's nothing stopping you. There's nothing that's getting in your way. It's super easy for you to actually walk down the sidewalk. But if you see this forest and there's no pathway, how do I even get through that forest? So the first time you go through the forest, it's really hard. There's no pathway. You're creating the pathway. Just like in your brain, you're creating that new neural pathway. And then once you create it, it's still really hard to go along that path because you've only been down it once. But imagine if every day you go down that path, all day, every day, it's going to get easier and easier to go down that path until there comes a time where there's no resistance at all and you can easily go down that path and it becomes just as clear as the other path was. And that's why our brain will always choose the other path, because it's so easy. There's no resistance. But you can see that when you're creating the new path, if you're consistent, then it too becomes an easy path with no resistance. And the way you make that path is with the little thing that you do every single day to get you to your big goal. Now in the Mastering Midlife membership, that's what we're working on this month. The one little thing, because it's not the big thing that we do, It's the little thing that gets us to where we want to go. It's always about consistency, no matter what you're trying to do. It's what you do when nobody's watching. It's what you do on the days when you don't want to show up. That's what makes the difference between us and an Olympic athlete, because they show up on the days when they don't want to do it. They show up on the days when it's hard. They show up on the days when they'd rather just stay in bed or just not do it or just do something else. And we too can create anything in our life if we have that consistency. And if the thing that we're trying to do every day is too big and overwhelming, we're not going to do it. That's why we got to start with a teeny tiny little nibble first. And you can always ask, what could I do on my worst day? On my worst day, I can just do this little thing here. And if I do this every single day for a whole year, I'm going to have huge results. This is like compound interest principle, but in changing your life or getting the results that you want. And most people don't realize that, just doing that little thing, how important it is. And once you understand that concept, then it's like, damn, I can easily change my life. I can. It's easy because the thing I'm doing is small. It's not big, it's not arduous, it's not time consuming. I just have to do it every single day. Or the way I like to think about it is I get to do it every single day. And how do I do it on the days when I don't want to? I keep my eye on the prize. Right now, I was a personal trainer for a bazillion years, and I never liked lifting weights. I loved, the boot camp, the functional fitness. And I haven't been doing personal training for probably over 2 years. I went to full-time coaching, and I just don't want to work out. And boy, did I see my muscle disappear really quickly, especially in midlife, because that's what the body does. And the way that I created this new path is I have the weights right beside my desk. And even though I don't like it, I'm like, I can do one set of each muscle group every single day. And then I do that 3 times a day. Those are just little bite-sized pieces. And the reason I do it is because I flash forward to the 80-year-old version of me. And I see her if I haven't built muscle. What does that look like? And it is not pretty, my friends. This is not a vibrant 80-year-old who's doing all the things she wants to do and living her best life. And her body allows her to do that. Her body takes her to these places. Her body allows these events and these wonderful experiences. And that's what motivates me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do bicep curls. I don't want to do shoulder. Well, I do. The one thing I like is shoulder presses. I don't know why. I love working my shoulders. That's the only part I like. Isn't that crazy? That's so crazy. But I don't like lifting weights. But if I break it down into these small bite-sized pieces and then keep my eye on the prize, which is the 80-year-old version of me, I'm doing this for my future self, because we know that if you keep your body functioning in prime functioning in prime functioning form, then you're going to live a really happy life when you're in your 70s and 80s, because you're going to be able to go out and be social. You're going to be able to be independent. You're going to be able to do all the things that you want to do. It's when our body can't move, that's when it all goes to hell. And you'll see the stats, 100%. You'll see the stats that if you have a fall, if you break something, it's game over. Your health declines rapidly when that happens because you just can't heal as quickly. And you lose your autonomy. You can't go out and do things on your own. And then your mental spirit leaves. You're like, you get bummed, right? It's hard to be happy when you can't go anywhere or do anything for yourself. So this is how I approach my life. I always am thinking that I'm training for something. When I was pregnant, especially with my first, with Fee, I've never been pregnant before. I didn't know what I could or couldn't do. And so I joined Barefoot and Pregnant. And worked out with all the other pregnant ladies. And then after we had our babies, and that's where I got my business idea from, because it changed my life. But the way I see everything in life is like, I've never had a baby, but I'm going to train for having a baby. I'm going to train my body for this. And that's how I thought about it. And I was in amazing shape, and I bounced back after because I trained for it. And I'm doing the same thing for menopause. I'm training for it. And now I'm training for old age because I want to be mobile. I want to be functional. I don't want lack of muscle or strength or endurance to be a reason why I'm not living a full, happy, vibrant life. And the way I do that is I do my workout. It takes me all day. I don't care. Because in between doing podcasts and coaching my clients, I get my reps in. Just standing in my room here. Because otherwise I wouldn't do it at all. And I can see my muscle coming back. And I do my jump training because I want to keep my bones strong. This is why it's so important. And so to make this change, to get my muscle, I just stopped everything and my muscle disappeared in a flash. And I don't expect my muscle to come back overnight. But if I do this training every single day or every other day, do my weights and do my walking every day, do my jump training, just little things, then over time, I'm just going to be like, whoa, look, I got my muscles back. I got my strength back. I got my endurance back. I'm not going to lie. My core is always strong because I've always been a fanatic of the core because I know that everything you do comes from your core. Everything. I was checking out my dad's workout. He's 85 and he showed me all the things he does and it's insane. He just goes for it. But he didn't work his core at all. And I could see every time he was doing something, there was no core activation, which means he was doing it at like 50%. So all that effort he's putting in is kind of going to waste. He's not maximizing what he could actually be getting out of doing this workout because he wasn't using his core. And the same as my sweet mom. She's going to be 84 and she has just shrunk down a lot. And so we're working on her core, and that's what it is like your inner muscles. You want them to be super strong so they keep you tall. So yeah, I'm talking about this and I'm standing up tall because I just see my mom, how much she's shrinking over time. And that can cause discomfort and that can make it hard to walk and do all the things. So what did I do? I taught her some easy core exercises that my 84-year-old mother can do. And I was over there the other day, and she's like, look at this, Heather. And she's doing her core exercises. And she's like, I'm so strong. And I was so proud of her because she's doing them every single day. And she's noticing a difference. Because for her, it's her balance. I could see her balance going. And we're like, we'll do whatever it takes. I'm like, Mom, we've got to keep you on your feet. There are no falls happening here. So what can we do to make sure that you stay upright? And so we fix up her house and we teach her core exercises and we make sure that, her glasses are working or she takes them off when she's walking, and we try to identify potential hazards for her because we want to make sure that she is mobile. Because my mom and dad, oh my gosh, they are rock stars. But they've noticed over the last little bit. They're like, 83 is the age. We noticed everything changing, and I'm going to agree. I noticed that. They're actually letting me help them, and they're fiercely independent. So I look at that as, okay, this is what's coming for me. This is what my future is going to be. So I'm in training for that. Like, I want to be the old lady who is doing amazing things. And you're like, what? That lady's 80? I want to be surfing when I'm 80. I want to be playing tennis or pickleball when I'm 80. There's a couple people in my tennis club that are, 70 years old, 75 years old. I'm like, that is so inspirational. That's me. That's what I'm going to do. So I train for it. Not only do I train my physical body, but I train my brain. If I want to make a change, I have to actually recognize what my brain is telling me in the first place. What's it telling me that's keeping me stuck, that's saying that I can't make this change? And then once I identify it, I can create what I do want. How do I want to feel instead? What do I want to create? How do I want to think instead? And for me, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've put a lot of time and effort into getting good at doing these things so that I can help other people and so that I can help myself. And this is what I do with my clients, because you can't see the forest for the trees. It is way easier for me to work on somebody else's brain than my own. But I work on my brain. Why? Because it makes all the difference. I'd be like, I don't like this in my life. Okay, how do I change it from the inside? If it's an inside job and it's all up to me, there's no external circumstance that's going to change this. If I can change everything with my brain, what would I get to change? Notice that. What would I get to change in my brain to create something different? Clarity, awareness, and consistency. Like, these are the keys to creating what you do want, to making big changes. Clarity and consistency and awareness. Like, you can't change something if you're not aware of it. And a lot of the times, the awareness will come from a feeling in our body. Anytime I feel anything other than happy or good in my body, I'll be like, oh, what am I feeling? What was I just thinking that caused that feeling? And that's how I track it down. That's how I start. And then the consistency is little bite-sized pieces. What could I do on my worst day to get me there? I'm in training. I'm in training for being 80. Okay, so time is on my side, because if every day I do this, by the time 80 rolls around, I'm going to be crushing it. So the awareness, the clarity of what I do want, the consistency, all of these things. But the reason people don't do it is because it's hard to do all of these things. It can be overwhelming. You don't know where to start. You don't know what to do. But today, I just wanted to share with you that you can create anything you want using your brain. And the more we use our brain, because the brain is a muscle, the better it gets, the stronger it gets. We can solve anything with our brain if we believe that we can solve anything with our brain. Quite often, as humans, we'll go to actions and doing things. But remember, your thoughts create your results. So if you have a thought and that thought creates a feeling, you're going to take action from that feeling. So a lot of people will just change their action. But if you just change your action, you're having the same feeling, so you're going to get the same result. That's the piece that people don't understand. You need to change that feeling and take action from a different feeling to get a different result. Because if I'm angry and then I just change my action, the action is still coming from anger, so you'll get the same result. But if I do the work and I figure it out and I come from a place of inspiration, my action is going to be totally different and I'm going to get a different result. That's why it all starts in the brain, because all of those things started with your thoughts. And you're in control of your thoughts. Nobody else is in control of your thoughts. Remember, if you come across somebody and they make you feel a certain way, you're thinking that they're in charge, that they're in control of how you're feeling. But nobody can ever make you feel a certain way. Person says words, and then you give it meaning, and that's where the feeling comes from. So if you're the person who's thinking, you made me mad, I want to invite you to bring it back to yourself and think, what was I just thinking that made me mad? What did I just think that made me mad? That way, you take your power back. And you can create anything you want. Once you understand this concept and apply it consistently every single day, you can change anything. You can become anybody. You can achieve anything that you desire. And if you need help with it, hit me up, because that is what I do. This is my magic, and I am happy. I love helping people do this. So hit me up. Because change is possible. Change starts inside. Change is an inside job. So I want to just leave you with this. The thing that I say to all my clients when we start our sessions. What would you like to change today? Thank you for listening. Always, always, always love yourself first and have an amazing day.